Okay, so we're going to look at a graph and write the equation of the line. Okay, so here, um, you may have seen this, but the standard format of slope intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Okay, and the y, let me zoom in here. The Y stands for the output. Um, the X stands for the input. And the M stands for slope, or in quotes, rate of change. Okay. And the B stands for y-intercept. And then I'm just going to put it in quotes, but you can think of it as the beginning or the starting point. Okay. So if you were to think about this, imagine that you're running a business. Uh, X is the amount of days that you put into working your business. M represents how much you're making in your business per day, um, or how much you're losing, because not every business makes money. How much you're losing in your business. And B um, is the starting point when on day zero, or the minute you start your business at the beginning. How much money did you start off with? That's your B. And Y is the total money that you have in your business account. Okay, so um, here the Y and the X always change, because every day is a new day, so X is always going to be different. And Y always changes because it reflects what X does. Every new day is a different banking account. So what usually doesn't change in an ideal world um, is your M. That is how much you're making per day. So just imagine that your business is linear. We have to how much you're making per day or how much you're losing per day, and how much you start off with on your business. Okay, so let's actually do some of these problems. Um, and when we write these equations in line, we write the formula first. All we need is the M and the B, because those are the things that don't change on the line. Okay, so we're gonna actually move this down a little bit. Okay, there you go. All right, and always remember that when we read a graph, we always go from left to right, because time flows in one direction. Okay, so write the formula. determine your B first. That is your y-intercept. Okay, this is the y. This is the y-axis. Where did the line cross? Where did this line cross the y-axis? It crossed it at 0. Okay, so my B is 0. Okay, now what's my M? My M is next to my X. So I go up from this this B I just crossed, and I try to find out from grid corner to grid corner, right? So this is the grid corner right there. That's another grid corner, right? This right here don't count. So from here to here, how much did I go up and over? So I went up 1, 2, 3, and I went over 1. So I went 3 over 1. My slope is 3 over 1, which is the same as 3. Okay? So my m is 3. Now, when I write my equation of the line, I write y equals, what's my m? It's 3. M is always next to x. 3x plus, what's my b? 0. Do we really write plus 0? No, we don't. So actually, it would look like that. And if you see an equation of the line looking like that, then you have to assume that your b is 0. Okay, so this business is doing good. It's making money. Okay. Now, what about this one? We have we write our equation of the line first. Y, you gotta do this each and every time. Y equals mx plus b. Okay, what is my b? My b is right here, because my y-intercept, my y-axis, okay, this line crossed the y-axis at 1. Okay, so my b is 1. What's my m? Well, from my first b, my b from the beginning here, I look for, and I always go from left to right. Okay, so I'm looking, where does it go down and cross into the grid corner? I'm looking over and looking and looking. Oh, it crossed it right here. Okay, it crossed it right there. So from here, because it doesn't cross there. It's not a grid corner, right? It didn't cross there. It did not cross a grid corner anywhere until it hit here. So that's the grid corner. All right. So we're gonna count down 1, 2, 3. Then I count over. So this is 3, negative 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So negative 3 over 5. So m equals negative 3 over 5. That is my slope. So now I got my b, right? I'm probably going to write this in pink just because I want to keep things in color. Negative 3 over 5. Now that I have my b and I have my m, I have enough to write an equation of the line. I just replace m, right, with I just replace my m. So y equals, right? I'm start right there. Y equals m. What's my m? Negative 3 over 5. X plus 1. B is 1. That's writing the equation of the line. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to our next one here. Okay, again, you write your formula. Okay, then after you write your formula, you determine where your y-intercept is. So my y, okay, this line crossed it at -4. So my b is -4. Okay, now my m was my m. So right here, I start from here. And okay, so usually, right, you would just go forwards, right? But because this graph goes off the grid, and it gets a little tedious for us to draw additional squares, and no, you can go backwards. Okay, so this is what you can do. Just look for another grid corner from here, right? That's the grid corner, and just pay attention to this, right? It didn't cross there. It doesn't cross the, oh, it crosses right there. Okay. Now all you did was just look for grid corners. Now from this grid corner, now count down 1, 2, -2. I'm gonna put this in pink. No, not pink, purple. 1, 2, and then over 3. 1, 2, 3. So down, -2. Anytime you go down, you go negative, and then 3. Okay. So my slope is m, or m equals -2/3. Okay. So that should be sufficient enough to go ahead and do the rest of that. Okay, so we're going to find slope from 2 points. And this is not that difficult. Just need to be organized. That's what it really comes down to. It just needs to be organized. Okay, so to find slope, you need to memorize, or you need to understand this formula. Okay, so m equals y2, right? The y1, and then over x2 minus x1. Okay. Um, this kind of works because if you have 2 points, for example, right? How far? Let me just use colors here. How far the blue point is from the green point, right? So you take x2, right? And you take x1. How far did x2 ran? How much further is x2 from x1? Well, you just subtract that, right? And when you subtract that, you kind of get the difference between x1 and x2. So that's, and then here again, what about how high is y2? Y2 versus y1, right? Y2 is higher than y1, but how much, right? So again, you subtract the difference, and you find out how much higher is y2 minus y1. And once you find those two differences, you find out how much this point moved up and over. We're just finding out the rise over the run. Okay, so um, that's the thing about this particular equation. But how you use it, let's actually talk about that. So label your points. Okay, label your points. So label this x1, y1, then label this x2, y2. Okay, label that. Then write your formula. Your formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 equals slope. Okay, so now you plug in your numbers. Okay, so I plug in y2 first, which is negative 15. So negative 15, right? And then you see that minus sign right there, right? That's what you put there by default. Okay. Now what is your minusing? You're minusing y1. Okay. Y1 is negative 16. Okay. So this is very important. If you notice, right, you have a subtraction, right? But what are you subtracting? You're subtracting a negative number. Okay. So don't ever make the mistake where you do this. Minus 16. No, no, no. You put the minus first. You put the minus first. Then you're minusing negative 16. Okay. Over x2, which is x2 is negative 7 minus 19. Okay. Negative 7 minus 19. Now this one right here, I'm subtracting a negative number. See, I'm subtracting. Whoops, music wrong color. I'm subtracting a negative number. Um, so if I'm taking away a negative number, then it's when you multiply the two negatives, you get a positive. Okay, so it's going to be negative 15 plus 16, right? And negative 7 minus 19. So I didn't add the bottom just yet. But what is negative 15 plus 16? I can actually go underneath. Negative 15 plus 16 is 1. And then negative 7 minus 19 is negative 26. And that is my slope. Okay. So you can officially write m. This is how you write your answer. M equals 1 over negative 26. Okay. So let's go ahead and do the next one. Okay. Probably number 2 is just a little easier. Okay. Um, label your numbers, right? X x1 y1 x2 y2. Okay. So I got x1 y1 x2 y2. I do my formula. M equals y2 minus y1, and then x2 minus x1. Okay, so I'm gonna write this better. All right, so what is my y2? Negative 7. So m equals negative 7, right? Now I'm subtracting here. So you always put a subtraction sign. Minus y1. y1 is a negative 19. Okay. Over x2 is negative 2 minus, you see that minus sign down there? So I always put a minus. Minus what? Minus 1. Okay. So I distribute the signs here. So negative 7 plus 19 over negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. And negative 7 plus 19 is 11 over 3. So your official answer is m equals 11 over 3. Okay. So go ahead and do one more problem. Just probably a problem that's less complicated. So I'm going to do number 4. And on number 4, all my numbers are positive, so I'm not going to have any, issues with negative numbers here. So I'm going to label these numbers. I'm going to label them. And when I label them, now I'm going to write my formula. Right? y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. So y2 minus y1 is, my y2 is 16. So 16 minus, right, y1, that's 8. Okay. And then I do the same thing. X2 is 9 minus, right, x1, which is 20. So that's pretty straightforward. This is how it usually does go, but if you deal with negative numbers, it gets a little tricky. 16 minus 8 is 8, and 9 minus 20 is negative 11. Okay, so I hope this is enough to know how to do slope formula. You write your answer like that. Or you could just write it like this in front of the negative in front. So I hope this helps. Go ahead and attempt to do the rest of the problems. Okay? All right then.